Hey guys, hello and welcome. I am going to quickly showcase how to use Gargul. So this is a really nice add-on to automate and streamline some of the, difficulties with loot while you're in raid, especially in a 40-man environment. This should hopefully take you away from just standing next to the boss's body and take you more into the action while you're distributing loot. Now, one of the best ways to get Gargul options up and running is to do /GL, or you can type out /Gargul as well. So if you'll notice in the bottom left-hand corner, I'm typing either /Gargul or now I'm going to do just /GL. So this brings up the welcome/settings interface, and you'll notice real quick that to roll an item, there's Alt left click, there's Alt Shift left click, and then there's Control Shift click. These are the primary keybinds that exist for distributing loot from your bags. So the best way to approach this is to have Master Looter on and then auto loot all the items into your bag, and then from there you will distribute loot. So real quick, I want to showcase the Master Looter settings. So if you go down here to the left, you'll notice that a bunch of settings come as existed. It's okay to leave them as it is. If you want to maneuver some of the settings, you can to add some of the ones that are turned off, but they start off out the gate pretty good. Now, what you'll notice is right here, this is something that doesn't come out of the box. What you'll see for them is it'll say /roll for main spec, and then it'll have /roll99 for off spec. What I did here is I wanted to give a little bit more color to the items, especially if you're in a guild setting. So you can roll for BIS, which rolls out of 100. You can roll for an upgraded item, so an item that gets you closer to BIS, but it's not quite BIS. You can roll 99 out of that. And then for off spec, you can roll 98. And then for transmog, or just something that you just want to wear and hold on to for now, you can do /roll 97. That's something, when you make these edits in the Master Looter piece, will showcase itself to everybody once you roll an item. So that way that they have this context, so that if they don't have Gargul, then they'll be able to participate in the different buckets. So with that, you'll see also with the roll tracking, this is where you edit the pieces that I had written. So remember, I had BIS, upgrade, off spec, and transmog. Once again, out the box, what this would showcase, this would show right here, it would say, for example, main spec, and then over here it would say off spec. Now, if it's an upgrade, I'm going to uncheck the off spec button, and I'm going to make this be the off spec. So that way this showcases, if we ever want to upload this stuff into That's My BIS, this would allow you to do the off spec component. So this is all that you have to really adjust. Minimum roll is 1s for all of these. The roll type is 100, 99, 98, and 97. And then you just sort priority, so top down, BIS being the most important roll and so on. Now that we have the settings set up, I just want to quickly showcase where you can do the shortcuts. So this is where you can edit some of the keybinds for what triggers what in terms of rolling out an item, which is Alt click, or to just directly award an item, Alt Shift click. If you're doing pugs or what have you, this is all you're probably ever going to use is Alt left click. If you're now in a raid setting, then you're going to use Alt Shift click, especially if you've done already priorities or loot counseled items in advance and you don't really want anyone to roll, then this is where that comes into play, and you can just directly sort of use the That's My BIS interface. One other thing before we get to showing you examples of what this looks like is just exporting soft res or importing soft res. So you'll notice in the welcome, there's these 4 buttons: GDKP, none of our concern, and fresh, simply because it's no longer permissible by Blizzard. However, soft res is where we're currently, leveraging this use case. But then once we get into That's My BIS, this is where we would leverage that for more guild runs and getting people's wish lists imported and whatnot, and especially priorities that the loot council have already decided. So if I'm trying to import soft res, I would go to the website for soft res, and he puts some of the instructions right here, but you would just hit add-on export within soft res, And then you would take that string, you would Control C, you would copy it, then you'd Control V into this interface, you would hit import, and then you would close, and now all the soft res pieces are being downloaded into this interface, so you don't have to constantly look between the item and the soft res sheet. It brings it all to a centralized space. So now that we've done that, I'm going to pretend that, you know, we're now, we had some loot, and so I'm going to open up my bags, and let's say the first thing we want to roll off is the heart. And so I'm going to I'm going to Alt left click. And so Alt left click brings up this interface. This interface allows me to set up timer. So I'm going to allow 30 seconds because especially if we're rolling items while we're doing trash, this gives people more time to do their thing. I recommend that everybody has Gargul downloaded. That way that they only have buttons to pick and they don't have to do /roll 99, 98 while they're doing trash. They just simply have to hit a button. Now I'll show you what that button interface looks like once we start this roll. But also there's a disenchant component. So if there's an item that you just simply want to disenchant, no one is interested in it, you can just click this, and then you can assign a player to be your disenchanter. It'll pick from your raid list of all the people that you have in your raid, and you can pick whoever your disenchanter is going to be. And once you've selected that, you can hit OK, and then it says you want to set Palantis as your disenchanter for this raid environment. You can say yes, and boom, now this has been not only documented that it's going to be disenchanted, but also who's going to be the disenchanter. And so when you hover over it, you'll see it was awarded to DE, and it hasn't been given because it's me, so no trade is required. But let's say we're not disenchanting, so I'm going to Alt left click, and then I'm going to go into award history, and you'll see some of the items that have awarded previously. What I can do is I can clear them right here, or I can specifically delete or change sort of an item while I'm here. So like, let's say if I delete this, yes, I'm going to delete this, yes, and then it gets me back to here, or I can just hit clear all, yes, and no history exists anymore. Now, so that's how you, if you accidentally give or assign someone something, that's how you go about addressing that. So finally, let's get into showcasing what this really fully looks like. So heart dropped. What am I going to do? You'll notice that the thing that we set up in the settings shows up right here. And so it's going to start that off. And so I'm going to hit start. Boom. You'll see a message come up right here that says we've started the roll, and it gives the instructions for what that roll looks like. And then on top of that, it also gives, for anyone that has the Gargul add-on, this sort of roll interface. And so I'm going to, if it's my BIS, I'm going to hit BIS. Let's say, you know, I roll again. Well, it'll catch me rolling again. But so I'm just going to do a bunch of rolls to try to simulate a bunch of rolls that have come in during raid. And then the 30-second window is up. Boom. Everything has been finished. All rolls have been computed. And so essentially the person that's doing the rolls can have it off to the side so that they can participate in killing trash or doing what have you. And then they just will collect. So they don't have to watch the chat window. They don't have to see who rolled what. You don't really have to see how many people have rolled how many times. And so right here, you'll notice that a bunch of these numbers right next to the player's name. If a player has a number next to it, that means that they've rolled the second time or a third time. So if you see Palantis 18, that means this is my 18th roll. So you can essentially throw away any roll by a player if they try to roll twice to try to game the system. This catches them. Now, the way this is set up is you'll see all the rolls right here. And notice off the bat, I rolled a 99, but it was through upgrade, versus someone rolled a 97 and it was BIS. So you'll notice that in a guild setting, when you're trying to just give loot to only people that have it as their BIS item, and you're setting that priority up, this allows you to sort of filter out all the other rolls pretty quickly, and then you can just look at and focus on the people that said it was BIS. And here, apparently, I rolled a 97 for BIS, and let's say number 16 rolled a 95 for BIS, and so on and so forth. And so I can highlight this, and I can hit award with the person that I want to award the item to, depending on whatever parameters you've set as a loot council. Now, the other piece that exists here, so if this is a soft run, a soft res, the options here might simply just be main spec off spec, right? So you could just simply have main spec off spec, and then maybe you can have someone that wants it for transmog or something along those lines to send in their bags to troll people with /trade window. But you can essentially set up those parameters, and once you have those parameters, anyone that rolled for off spec, well, they're down here. Their roll doesn't really supersede or beat out someone who rolled main spec. And so, especially if you're doing a main spec off spec to SR system. If this is somebody that like SR'd something, well, when these rolls play out, it would show you who the 2 people that had this item as a soft res and everybody else who didn't. So that way you can essentially quickly sift through all the people that didn't soft res it and just wasted a roll to make sure that you've gotten exactly what you need to out of this. So this is the best way to quickly just deal with loot. I'm going to award this to myself. I'm going to hit award. It's not an off spec, so I don't have to worry about that. And if you remember in the settings, we automated which one is considered off spec. And so I'm going to just hit yes. We're not doing the +1 rule. And so boom, it's right here. If I'm in a raid, it'll put it into the raid chat so people know who's awarded what. But since I'm not in a raid, it's just using essentially the Gargul emote setting to showcase who was awarded what item. So now if I hover over that item, you're going to see that it was awarded to me, and it has been given to me because it's in my bags. And so that's how you can keep track. And then if we go to settings once again, so /GL, and if we go to the settings, you can set up different ways for auto trading. So you can announce the start of roll, count down the rolls if you want, when you want the countdown to start, the last 5 seconds. You can also you can announce who the master looter is if you want. The other piece that exists here is, let's see, you can sort roles. And if you don't want to sort roles by the soft res status, you can uncheck it, but I recommend you keep that, especially if you're doing pugs. And then I also recommend making this 2 seconds. So this starts off as 1 second, but sometimes there are people that are slightly behind. And so giving a 2 second lagging threshold really makes you avoid dealing with people that barely miss the cutoff. And then here we can set both of these as off spec, for example, because they're not necessarily associated with the BIS. So with that, you can also use raid warning if you want to announce loot. And then, but again, I just personally leave it to announce loot to chat, and the quality being just epics instead of just also including the materials and things like that. And play and test. But this should be a quick little guide to how to use this tool. As soon as you're done with this, you can simply close. You can close this based on an award. So if you wanted to, once you've awarded something, this auto closes. I can show you what that looks like. So let's say we do a new item. We have Outlaw Saber, Alt left click. I'm going to you're going to see all the pass rolls from the other item. So we can just start right here. Roll is happening. Let's say we get some rolls out. Okay, we've had 11 people interested in this roll. You can hit stop at any point if you want. So this stops the roll. You can start back up again and you get more of the rolls into play. So if you're running into a situation where it's just becoming too much while you're doing the pug or doing trash, then you can stop the rolls and resume them. And then once you've done that, we're waiting on it to time out. You can always make this instead of 30 seconds, 15 seconds. But again, I prefer giving people more time. And so now that everything is done, let's say we have this check to close on award. I award it to the highest person here, which would be number 11. I'm going to award, yes, window closes. I don't have to hit another button. Wonderful. And then the next item, the only reason maybe you don't have that setting is for people that are like, oh, hey, like, why did you award it to that person? And you're like, well, here's a quick screenshot. I still have it. I don't have to bring it back up. But another way to bring it up is just you try to roll something else, control left click, and then it'll have the prior rolls and what they look like. And then as soon as you hit start, all of that gets deleted and you have a new interface. So, and then once again, if you hover, it shows who won. It's to Palantis. Have I given it to him? If I haven't traded it yet, it will say no. So it's a great way to just manage your items. So I'll leave it at that. Hopefully this was a useful guide of Gargul. It's a pretty straightforward, easy tool. Again, strongly recommend that everybody gets Gargul in the raid so that the way they have the button interface, they can move that button interface wherever they want. So for example, if we start, they just highlight right here, they click on the empty space, and then that allows them to move and allocate it. Some people put it right in the middle so that they don't miss a roll, especially if they're doing trash. You can just put it wherever you want so that it's in your peripheral. I still recommend that you make an announcement in comms that you're going to roll out an item. Some people still don't see visual cues. So any type of cue to make sure people don't miss a roll is definitely a good idea. So with that, I'm going to end the video here. If you have any questions, please let me know. You'll notice as soon as I exited, so I exited the roll before the roll finished, there were 0 rolls here. And so it simplified it into a very small window. I can hit start stop, I can hit disenchant, or I can hit this to open up the interface completely. And so let's say I start this again, and then we get a few rolls in. I'm gonna close this while the rolls are happening. Notice how the roll count keeps increasing, especially if I'm trying to minimize my space. And then as soon as it finishes, I can go back here, click it to open up the window view in case you wanted to see more of your real estate while a roll was happening, because maybe the trash pull is very hectic or what have you, and you need to visually see everything that's around you. So, and then you can always hit pause right here to pause it, and then you can restart it once again. So with the start pop right here. So, okay, I think that's enough of the tips and tricks. If this should get you up and running and be very useful and lethal as you go through the raid.